Guys, welcome to the stream. Sunny here, and today we got a massive Glabs Patch notes. If you want to check this out, we cover them every Friday when they come out on the stream at twitch.tv/bprimegaming. We're doing it right now live as well. So come and hang out. Link in the description. If you don't know what this is, it's basically the test realm of Black Desert. And normally we get this like 2 weeks or so before they hit the live servers. So this is a way to stay updated on what to expect coming out. And today, it's a big one. We got the t-shirt on. It happens. We got the Awakening Warrior PvE boss today. I'm in a good mood, so let's cover this. A lot more is going on. We're just gonna run through it and take a look. There's a lot of really cool stuff here and also some hints for the future. So first off, we got some changes to the central market prices. They're basically increasing the prices of elixirs quite substantially, high increases, and you might be like, great, that's an alchemy buff. Hold on a minute. Because they are also hard increasing perfume, like double the price, all this. Again, link to this here will be in the description. Shout out to Black Desert Foundry, translating these every week. So I'm gonna link this here right now into the description so you can check it out yourselves and look at the numbers. Now, furthermore, they're also increasing the cost of the materials. Black magic crystal fragments are gonna go up from 555,000 to 1.5 million. Black crystals, saps are gonna go up from 21k to 50k. So while elixirs are gonna go up in price, potentially incentivizing more people to sell them to meet the demand of these expensive elixirs or rare elixirs, the cost of making them is also gonna skyrocket. So for gathering purpose, this is a huge buff. A big one that I do want to talk about, and I might test this out when it hits live, is Griffin Claws. Griffin Claws you can get by hunting the King Griffin, or you can get it by gathering in Naval steps from the Griffins there. It's going to go up from 1 million silver to 5 million silver. This item right here is used to make Griffin elixirs, and it actually turns out that at 5 million silver, it's not worth making Griffin elixirs. Even with 2k mastery, you will lose money doing it. But these are super rare, super annoying to get. And it's needed for a Griffin elixir, which gives karma damage, was one of the most used grinding elixirs in the game. Now this right here can actually turn out to be insane silver per hour just gathering. If you get a 10x game at high mastery, you can actually get 100 claws in one gather. Now, it sounds pretty crazy, but it's not a guaranteed drop rate, and there's far between them. So I'll be testing this when it hits live for sure, and see how much silver power this will actually be. But this might be crazy silver power from gathering, and yeah, we're gonna test it out. But this is one to watch for sure. Other than that, we got some ocean changes. With boarding a ship, you will now be able to leave the ship when you're in the dock. You can just hotkey it, being the captain or member, and you go straight onto the wharf. You don't have to swim and all that, so super nice with the disembarkment here. They're also making some changes in terms of the speed when you're out sailing. Read about this. I'm not a big ocean guy. This one here is a bit iffy for me. Next up, we got some changes to attraction and Pit of the Undying. They are adding the option to use your mates. So now you can go and you can use your mates and take stuff out of the storage. If you got potions or whatnot, you can now use it in attraction. Love to see it. Great quality of life. This one here is a huge change. So they're changing the Dehkia lantern spots, all of them. So if you're not aware, the Dehkia lantern is a new item where you can buff an existing grind spot. It's currently for Ash Forest, Taurus, and Thornwood, Olens, and Cyclops. Now they're changing all of these spots to some degree. First off, they're also changing the range of the lantern. It's only gonna be 60% in AoE size, which means you won't be able to use it to multiple at Olens. They're making some more changes to Olens though, so don't be too scared just now. For the Cyclops, they are the defense of the monsters have been decreased slightly. Depending on how much this is the damage reduction on the mobs. We'll have a video coming out. We're working on it right now, explaining monster DR and why it is insanely important for understanding the damage at endgame. Nerfing this and reducing the DR, depending on the numbers, could be a massive damage increase for you guys killing them up there. So it's going to be interesting seeing what the actual DR numbers are going to be. We don't know it yet. They're also reducing the DR in Thornwood Forest, which is currently by far, no comparison, the best grind spot in the game. So it will be easier to kill. However, they are also changing the CC. So currently you need to pretty much have 100% stun stiffness resistant. There's a bunch of CCs there. They're changing all of those to be knockbacks. So if you build your crystal setup, you just need to get 100% knockback resistance and you will resist all CCs at that place. It's an awesome buff for the classes that has issues with protections. And it's going to be more straightforward. Just building your crystal setup, you have one resist style and you're good to go. I really like this. It's very, very annoying with these random CCs being called out and basically forcing you into a very, very strict crystal build. So this honestly is a great change. I would love to see this for Crypt as well. Now, here's a big one. No longer does Acre's Fever apply to the Dark Knights or to the Bear Spearman or the Wolf Spearman. So these are the elites, and the mechanic, like the meta right now, is to only enable your Acres when you're killing these elites. It's going to give you a very, very good Acres consumption with insane trash increase, because they drop a lot of trash and they don't use a lot of Acres. So this will be a pretty big nerf to the Acres meta at that place, and it'll definitely bring down the trash per hour on average. However, depending on how much you grind, you're probably going to be out of Acres anyway. Now the mobs are going to be easier to kill, and you won't probably going to have a better crystal setup with 100% resist. So will this be a total net or buff? Hard to say. There's one more big change for this place here. The mob spawning is going to be changed as well. So currently, I believe when there's 3 mobs remaining, the next wave of mobs will spawn. They're saying here that they change to summon the next group of AARK when there are fewer monster remaining than before. So that would mean 2, 1, or 0 mobs. Basically, you have to kill more of the pack for the next wave to spawn, meaning that realistically, you're going to be a bit slower in killing mobs per hour. So technically a nerf as well. Now, how much will this be a buff with the damage increase, or nerf with the Acres or the spawning? We don't know yet, but I think it's fair to say this will still be #1 spot in the game by a long shot. The total changes, we'll have to wait and see. They're also nerfing the relic drop rate and stuff like that. Not that big a deal. For the Dehkia Ash Forest, they are changing it so now you have to go to specific spots to summon instead of going into the current rotation. So no longer will somebody doing the lanterns ruin a normal grinder's rotation. So now they're separate, and you can have people doing the normal Ash Forest and people doing the Dehkia Ash Forest at the same time. They're also changing some of the stuff here from the mobs. They're changing the knockback to be a KD, which means you can probably just stack KD resist there now and be totally fine. I'm pretty sure all the CC is now knockdowns. They're also changing the Volcrest to no longer split after being killed, and changing some of the actions there. They're also nerfing Witch and Wizard by making Magic Lighthouse, that's the red orb, if you guys heard about it, which is an aggro ability, not work. Now, Witch Wizard is very good there, so it's basically gonna bring them down a bit. It's still gonna be extremely strong. So for Olins, they're doing the same thing, more or less. They're changing it so you use the lantern at a specific spot to summon a pillar. You're no longer gonna be like triple summoning and running 2 rotations in the main rotation. How exactly it's gonna work out, we'll have to wait and see. I assume they're increasing the spawn rates. They do mention it, but again, we'll see if that's for that specifically. So you're going to be able to run the regular Olins and the Lanterns now on the same channels. Over here, the roaring attack of the Ulutuka has been improved to activate more slowly. Some more monster changes here. The mobs in Olin Valley will spawn 50% faster. So this is faster spawn rate. Does this apply to the Lantern version? We don't know. I'm assuming it probably does, but I'm excited to test it out and see if there's a buff or nerf compared to live. And this one right here, Kuga Ruins. The numbers of monsters that appears in the Mani version of Kuga has been reduced by 35%. And it looks like they've been taking just mobs out of every pack. We looked at some videos here comparing packs on by Carl and a video here by Quindir. So Carl went on Global Lab and tested it, and we were comparing each pack to Quindir video on current live version, and it looked like they just removed mobs out of every pack, which basically means everybody gets nerfed instead of potentially just removing some packs, so only the people doing like super high numbers would overclear and then be hard capped in the amount of mobs they could kill. So it's probably still going to be really good. It will most likely be in the range of Centaurs with 8-burst usage, but it's a pretty big hit. It's definitely going to take the meta out of it for even high gear players. It's still going to be really, really good for people going there. But honestly, I think they should have done something to just only nerf the people doing 100k, 140, 150k trash with all the buffs on. This here looks like it's going to hit everyone trying to grind there, which, yeah, it's a bit sad. I thought it was a great spot for people in like mid gear and all that, hitting those 75k trash. Super worth it. It looks like they're going to be nerfed as well. Next up, they're making some the quest line for the Succession quest easier, so that's fine. The boss when you're fighting Elisra, easier to kill for people doing the Awakening and Succession quest. Crystal preset improvements. This is a nice one. It's not a massive one, but this is honestly a great change. I really enjoyed this one. It looks way better, and potentially it's gonna be nice for future things coming. So basically, they're making it so you no longer need to summon the Black Spirit to change your crystal presets. You can now do it from your inventory. They are planning on giving like a channel whenever you do it, so you can't use it to switch mid-combo. Think like when you're doing escape, or when you're using a map, you have this channel. If you get hit, it interrupts it. It's the same with this one here. So it's something where you can just do it in between. Or before pulling or whatnot. You don't have to open the Black Spirit and then be hit. Like, it's great. Love it. On top of that, they are changing the visuals on it. So this is how it's going to look. Instead of the current UI, you're going to have your presets out here. And now you can see the actual stats of your different presets. It's looking super clean, looking way better. And yeah, I like this. Nice visual update. Yeah, not much more else to say. They're also changing here. Display of applied modifiers in the back has been improved. The modifications being applied to modification presets, a glyph displayed on the right. Yeah, basically like here, it's just like your setup. Right, we got some other changes. Doesn't matter. Here we go. Showing what's equipped right now or not. Oh, like with this icon out here. Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. I guess we can do this, right? And then they're also adding, so you can see which crystals you have equipped right now in your presets out here on a visual on the right side. Nice and clean, instead of that green check mark. So this looks pretty good. Not a big deal, but yeah, it's something to just be aware of what crystals you have equipped. You got some quest knowledge changes, just some bug fixes more or less. And for the Black Shrine UI, that's your boss rush. Whenever you're clicking on a level, it will now write it in chat, like in text, what difficulty you're doing on the boss. For me personally, that's a nice update. I always end up clicking like 11 times on whatever difficulty I'm doing to make sure it's actually on it. Now you just click it and it says Calamity 6, Calamity 8, whatever it is. Great little quality of life. Now, the meat of it. Let's start with the first big post here. The blue post is a dev note. And I'll give you a TLDR of this blue post. It's actually a very important blue post about class changes. So what the devs are saying with this here is Succession Wusa is the most used and best performing grinder in PvE. No surprise. And they are looking at ways to potentially tune it down a bit. However, and this is the important part, they are going to look to buff other classes that are underperforming in different ways, be it strengthening elements that are weak in or damage if they needed that, to still make classes feel like they're the same. They don't want to make all classes be as Sok Wusa. As the devs are saying here, Sok Wusa just does everything amazing. It has everything. It has the sustainability, the damage, the ease of play, and 11 other things, right? And they don't want to make all classes into Wusa. So they're looking to buff the classes that are underperforming in a way that suits the class's playstyle. And again, the main takeaway here is if your class is underperforming in PvE right now, the devs are looking to buff the classes instead of nerfing. And then maybe in the future, they'll make some nerfs to Wusa or whatnot, right? But right now, they're looking to buff, not nerf. And we'll see how long that lasts. Who knows? Maybe next week they're gonna do a Wusa nerf anyway, right? But this is their goal and the plan right now, and they're starting out with that in this patch for Awakened Warrior. Now we're talking only PvE here. PvP is not in this conversation, and it's PvE buffs we're looking at. Now before we get to Warrior, I do want to jump down here and mention that they also added for Wusa the Magnus skill. It's a relatively long cooldown. It looks somewhat weak. It can be used as a ranged CC. It's an unprotected stun right here at the end. Low damage, long cooldown, but it's long range. This might have some uses for catching people at range, but Mego is basically the same, except it does like 5 times the damage. It's actually good damage. And it's less than half the cooldown. But pretty much the same long range catch as well. Those are the random abilities for Wusa and Mego. They should be applied maybe next month. Because PA also said they're not going to apply any class changes until after the Asian Node War Championship. And that ends October 29. So the next patch would be November 1st. So don't expect any class balance patches to hit until next month. Right, let's take a look at Warrior. I'm excited for this. We got a lot of numbers. Let's dive into it. First off is reworking knee kick. And it is still completely useless. I'll show you guys. I got here in-game on Global Lab right now, so I'll show you the ability. Right, they are removing the hotkey from F. So you can no longer use F. You have to put your own hotkey on it, and they are making it flow after Heaven's Cleave. So let me show you here what this is. So you have, let me unlock it. There we go. So you still have the ability here, the regular ability if you quick bind it, and you can use it. If you use it after Heaven's Cleave, which is now on F, and hold down F, it will do a different spinning kick, which is pretty cool, except it's completely useless. It still deals absolutely no damage, and it is animation locked. So here, I'm gonna go in, and I'll use an ability. That's the kick. So your animation lock for it still, it's still very slow, it's unprotected, and it deals no damage. So you don't want to use it in PvE. It's useless in PvE. Animation lock, no damage. In PvP, it's not going to flow into anything. So the only way we found where you can actually cancel this ability is by C-swapping. So maybe there could be some uses in potential comboing with that. The only thing that will cancel it is C-swapping. No other abilities will do it. So in a PvP situation, I just cannot see you ever wanted to do it. Honestly, this ability is going to be dead as it was before. The only way, if they want to keep it like this, what PA has to do is 1, make it cancelable from Awakening. 2, it probably needs to be removed the stiffen and give it super armor, so you could potentially use it a bit after, and make it do a slight jump kick. This would completely make it viable in some capacity. If instead of standing completely still with the kick, make it do like a slight jump kick, it will look badass and allow it to flow into other abilities afterwards. If they make it super armor on top of that, remove the CC, you know what, we might actually have a useful ability in the kit. As it is right now, it's going to be completely useless as it is. They might as well not have done anything to it. Now, the only good thing about this is they changed the hotkey from F to now being for Heaven's Cleave. So that's pretty nice. You don't have to hotkey that anymore. You now have it automatically. So that's the next one on Heaven's Cleave. It now is on F. After using Overwhelm and Solar Flare, you have to take F to flow it. You can't use R&B. However, when you go from Hill Strike, you can still do R&B, which is great for the PvE combo that utilizes this. It's still going to make it flow really, really nice. It would be very clunky if you had to go F afterwards. So I'm happy to keep that. And I'm actually really, it's going to take some time getting used to with the F change, but I think warriors will be happy with it once we get used to it. On top of that, they cracked the damage up on this one. I want to give a shout out to my friend and fellow content creator, Quindia. I'll drop a link to his channel in the description. He did the numbers for me going into this, so I didn't have to do it. So here we go. The numbers of these are as follows. Heaven's Cleave gained a 20% PvE damage buff and a 0% PvP buff. So PvE 20%, no changes in PvP. Great. It lost some hits, right? But damage went up quite a bit. 20% on a solid filler, we like it. These are looking solid for an ability like this in PvE. Frenzied Strike. They're changing last hit to be a knockdown. Basically, they're making this completely useless in PvP. They are backloading the damage. So it will do less damage than now if you cancel it in PvP for the buffs, which is also gone. Basically, this is a hardcore PvE only ability. So the knockdown is kind of whatever. Maybe it's going to be useful in some PvE spots that requires knockdowns. They made the core Frenzied Strike last a bit longer. I tested it. It really doesn't look like it. Again, I can show you guys here real quick. We got the core on, and it's just, if it's a bit longer, it's like half a second, and it doesn't really matter because you will be going into another ability right away. So that's kind of like a nothing change, but this is the big change. They removed the 5% critical hit damage for 5 seconds, and they moved it to Merciless and make it 10 seconds. On top of that, so they removed the 5% crit damage, and instead they added an HP recovery, which is great for newer players and also in-game, getting a bit more sustain on other abilities. This is nice. Fine. The big change here is the damage. Now, as you can see, the damage actually went down on the first and second hit because it deals half the hits, but it went up a lot on the last hit. So this is in PvE a total of 25% more damage, but only if you do the full animation. If you cancel it before the last hit, you will actually have received a PvE nerf, but if you do the full animation, it's a 25% PvE damage buff, and again, no damage increase in PvP. Overwhelmed, they removed the HP recovery, that's fine, and they increased the damage to be an acceptable filler ability. It gained a 42% damage increase, which is a big increase, but it is still a low damage ability, but we take it. These filler abilities needed more damage. Again, no PvP damage change. Merciless, they removed the 20 DP buff, and instead they gave it a 10-second 5% crit damage buff that they removed from Frenzied Strike. This is pretty great. You can do some really, really cool animation counts with this. So there will be uses for PvP combos now, getting this buff in. And for PvE, you're going to be able to filter this in and have it up permanently because it's now a 10-second buff. So this is super nice. Love to see it. I would wish they had buffed the damage. The damage on Merciless is abysmal for the animation. It definitely needed like a 20-30% damage buff. However, in the grand scheme of things, I think Warrior has enough PvE damage now, and we'll get to it. So Balance Strike received a 60% damage buff, which sounds like a lot until you also realize it's still 85. It deals no damage in PvP. It just tells you how little damage it dealt to begin with. It's now 6% more. It's something, right? it deals, I don't know, 10 damage more, who knows. But in PvE, again, it's a filler, it's a ability used constantly in a combo because it flows into other abilities. And it actually got a 50% PvE damage buff. The numbers are nice. This is solid for PvE. Love to see it. Great. This is the big one. So the PvE damage, again, PvP stays the same. The PvE damage of both Gravedigger and Slashing of the Dead got increased by 70%. This is actually going to chunk in PvE. No damage increase in PvP, but for PvE, this is amazing. There's a lot of other abilities like Mercers I think deserve some damage buffs. This compensates for that. This is amazing, huge numbers. I love to see it. I'm gonna be honest, if they were to reduce these a bit and then buff Merciless, that would be, as long as in the total combo damage, we're looking good right now. It's looking good. And this is both Gravedigger and Slashing of the Dead. Pulverize received a 14% damage increase in PvE, no damage increase in PvP. They reduced the cooldown of Tempest, which is the flow after Pulverize, to be the same cooldown as Pulverize. Great, now they're always going to be off cooldown at the same time. It could be a bit wonky at times. You like use Pulverize on cooldown and then Tempest wasn't quite ready. So now it's just fits together. A bit of quality of life, super weird, it was 9 seconds to begin with. And again, 14% damage buff in PvE for both Pulverize and Tempest. Reckless Blow finally works. Reckless Blow is a 10-second cooldown ability, and the fully charged up version of this deals less damage than a 3-second AoE ability of some other classes. Absolutely abysmal PvE damage. They are buffing this by 50%. For a 10-second cooldown. These are the numbers you need to see. This is actually a bit lower than what I was thinking that it needed, but it's just around, I was thinking like 2250, 21, 30% damage increase, damage multiplier. This is going to be great. We're looking really good. This is going to chunk in PvE. Great. Next up is the Angle Break. They are increasing the damage to be the same multiplier as Pulverize and Tempest, but 2 less hits. This right here is going to be getting, let me see, a 40% damage buff, which sounds like a lot, but basically they no damage before. So this is good damage now. It's totally worth maybe even doing the double Angle Break instead of only using it for the crit buff for Pulverize and Tempest. Now it's an ability in its own right for PvE. Next up is the E-buff, the final thing. They made the E-buff, instead of giving 20 AP, it gives 30 AP. And you might think that's a lot. In reality, this is 4 AP. Because the way this works currently is the Q block gives you 26 AP. And it does not stack with this. So what actually happens is right now in live, if you use Q block and your E-buff, the 20 AP buff is removed from your E-buff. So if your Q block runs out, you lose 26 AP. The 20 AP from E-buff is gone. So in reality, this is only a 4 AP buff, because now, as I will show you here, now I have my Q block up for 26 AP. I'm gonna E-buff now, and the 26 AP is now gone. Now that gets overridden. So it's only 4 more AP than my Q block. The main thing here is I don't get into these weird situations where my Q block runs off and then I lose all my AP. So this is great. It's a good quality of life. Basically, they solved the bug with these AP buffs by just circumvented the issue and making the other buff override the Q block. So that's it. Really solid. I'm super happy about these. Really, really excited to see how War is going to perform with these changes. I think it's probably going to be up there as an S-, potentially S-class, a lot of grind spots, and that seems to be where PA wants it. I have my doubts that they're going to compete still with Wusa at those super endgame spots, but this here is going to be really nice. I'm super excited about this. And guys, don't forget to check out the stream at twitch.tv/bprimegaming. I'll see you all in the next one.